got in here in October 2001. I became a leader to the Rivers State government at the age of 27 as a special advisor, religious affairs, to His Excellency. Pastored in Lagos for a year, came into Abuja, pastored about a year or so. So I got in here, this is my fourth station. I had a challenge. The challenge is that people, we've been told the statistics today, how that was the population of the average plateau is. 2 million, some say 3. And I've been made to believe that most headquarters of religious organizations are right here in this city. Fellowship of Christian Students, the NIFES, Kokin is headquartered here, ECWA is headquartered here, the Baptist Church has a significant role here. Quite a number of organizations are here. Expectedly, if we are religious, as we say, we shouldn't have prisons in this place. However, we have a form of godliness. And that's the city I'm sent to come and do what I have to do. So I have a challenge of how to translate that assignment into practical existence. So when I got in here, from my background, I schooled in Warri, Federal Government College Warri, and it's been a journey. But when I was going to come in here, God said to me, you have to come empty. So I arrived in this city with 300 naira, October 2001, with a wife, a son, a daughter, and 1 staff. I slept on my clothes for 9 months in this city. My wife, sitting right over here, sold mangoes in Terminus Market. She sold pap and akara at the First Bank. Some of the customers are still there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I think we have an interface between all the speakers. Listening to all of you today, someone who has my kind of assignment might be discouraged to say, how can I do it? Understand, ladies and gentlemen, this entire event will be of no use to us when we cannot bring it together to a melting point. It's my belief that the entire world has 4 corners. The first corner is entertainment and sports. Second, education. Third, governance. Fourth is the economy. These corners must be mastered. The challenge we have is that all of us are locked up in one particular corner, not looking at the other corner as not being relevant. And that's why we are handicapped. Wherever people are together and they are able to manage these 4 corners effectively, there's a guarantee of supernatural transformation. Today, this is Destiny Place. I came here with 100 naira. This property, they tell me, is about 9 digits, several 9 digits. There's a place we worship. It's significant because of what I do. Somebody simply put this way, that a paradigm shift is a change from one way of thinking to another. I could have sat back and say, which is what I was told when I got in here the first time. I'm from Kaduna State, Zangon Kataf. I was told that pastors say, this is a dry town, churches are closing. And as I was going around town in 2001, I saw churches closed because hearing the last speaker, you don't want to pastor in Jos. I mean, you want to go to Lagos, Port Harcourt, or Abuja. And so when I got in here the first time, they said to me, what are you doing here in Jos? I mean, people are leaving where you're coming from to come here. I said, I have an assignment. And so it was all about a perspective, how you see it. The first thing was to change my mind that, yes, as he's rightly said, what our IGR is, whatever what they said, I'm fine. But I want to look at it from a different perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, what will move any part of the world is that you must leave your corner and come to the center stage. No boxer wins by staying at the corner. Playing a defensive game never wins a Ballon d'Or. So we have to make up our mind what we're going to do as a people on assignment. About a year ago, 2 years ago, when we had this crisis in the Northeast and people left Mubi, part of those that left for Mubi came into Jos here, and they were kept by this NGO, Stephanos IDB camp at the Zan Commandery Secondary School in Bukuru. This is the picture I saw there. I did these pictures. This was the water we found there. We dug a 90-foot borehole for the IDP in that particular place. The story of my triumph coming from where I'm coming from, because when I was having the 300 naira, I couldn't take a bus to the market. I had to trek for an hour or so to get to the market so that I can spare 20 naira. I saw my daughter driven out of school, my son thrown out of school. I got kicked out of my accommodation because I couldn't pay for my rent of my house, and then I couldn't pay the place where we meet for worship. And so when God now moved us to where we are today, and then the news began to spill out that this is where God has moved us into, it sparked an interest in many people who do what I do. And then they began to come to me for counseling, and I found out that I would talk to a pastor for about 4 hours. And it went on for a while till a friend of mine said to me, "Say, you know what? Why don't you get all these pastors together and let them hear you, because what they need is exactly the same." And so I tried to put up a meeting for 20 people. It turned out, in the first instance, I had about almost 500 pastors in a single meeting. Then I went to Makurdi just about 2 months ago. I had over 1,000 pastors. I was in Yola. I had about 600 pastors. While in Yola, I was quite taken aback last year, July, when I heard that 5 local governments didn't have a standing church building. And in that meeting, there was a gentleman, but just by the Spirit of God, I didn't know him, I don't know his name, I don't know who he was. I was illustrating my preaching, and then I had a mat, and I said, Jesus told a story about the man that was brought in by his friends to the roof, and there were 4 men carrying him up the roof and bringing him down. So I said, you can't make it all by yourself alone. So I chose pastors from those 4 local government areas to hold a mat, 4 directions. Incidentally, picked on the man that, this man, Reverend Joseph Bitrus Kwache. I've never met him before. His church, the Christ Gospel Church, Michika. You see his hand, this hand here. He was shot by Boko Haram trying to escape and has not been able to walk the hand. Not totally paralyzed, but can't use it. For some reasons, I said to him, the network that I lead, we're going to build your church from scratch. This was what was there. This is where we are. I stopped by Numan. I was told this woman, she's a widow. Her husband had been in the military, and then she had to hold the church for about 8 years. And so we came in there and decided to partner with her, which we're doing at the moment. I had to put up a team. I need to put up this picture. Young, dynamic, who are coordinating the activities of this cutting-edge network that is bringing a message of hope and inspiration. One thing that is clear whenever I go to any city, they tell me that pastors who have left their place of assignment because of whatever the challenges were have had to go back to where they were called to do. For that, I'm grateful to God. But to make sure that this movement doesn't just die, I've studied church history for a while, and I was quite intrigued by the stories of men of God who have served God in different capacities and eventually didn't end well. The Bible says in Psalm 37 verse 37, mark the upright with the end of that man is peace. I became passionate about how you end strong in whatever you're called to do. That took me to a lot of study about lives of men of God that God had used. I was quite intrigued when I was in Los Angeles at the Angeles Temple, the founding the Foursquare Gospel Church. I was amazed that 73 years after the death of Aimee Semple McPherson, the church runs 2 services. At that, I attended their international convention, and they had, I said about 3 years ago, they had about 2 million adherents around the world. And I got challenged that one of the things that I found out was that she had a Bible school that was training these pastors. One thing you cannot play, no matter what your calling is, you have to be trained for what you're called to do. And so my journey took me to Dallas, Texas. I became the first in their 75 years history to be issued this certificate, similar to what the late Archbishop Benson that was issued. That was the school he was when he encountered the power of God, and he was sent back to Nigeria to do what he had to do. I was given this certificate, being the first parent to be given the certificate who has never attended the school, ever. Reason, because when they had an interview with me about what I was going to do and what I'm going to do, they were quite amazed that I could hold such intellect in just a moment. And so this is in the office in Dallas, Texas. But beyond that, the story of my journey has been captured by the CBN, the Christian Broadcast Network, who came to my office because they heard the story of triumph, tragedy. Now, one of the things I didn't have the time to tell you was that about 20 years ago, in 1 week, my wife and I lose 2 children in the space of 5 days. My daughter dies on Monday. My son dies Saturday. I was up preaching Sunday morning. A friend of mine came to me and says, because you chose to say go ahead and preach, the enemy cannot dictate to you when to preach, when not to preach. The challenge we have here, how do we bring the 4 corners together? I was asked a question a while ago, why do we have crisis? I said everybody's focused on his corner. The time has come for the church of God not just to be church rats. It's time we engage in governance, engage in the economy, engage in every sphere of human existence. When he said go into all the world, what he meant was not a nightclub. What he meant, the systems of the world. Now, if you read the Bible in the book of Luke chapter 16, he says, children of this world are wiser in their generation than the children of light. I believe on the plateau we must move away from being title holders. As the headquarters of cooking, headquarters of Equa, what are we doing about our politics? If we are totally united in one focus, we shouldn't be having the contention we have. The enemy is external. I tell people, I said the issues we have today, they are man-made. They were not there. I went to school with a Fulani boy. When I was a student at my A-levels at the College of Advanced Studies area, the head of the Izalutu group was my coursemate. I read biology, chemistry, physics. And we were there for 2 years, and we didn't have any issues. When I was in primary school, I went to school with a Fulani friend. So what we have today is man-made. And the challenge we have is that until you leave your corner, nobody knows what you have. And you can't make it all by being in one particular corner. All corners must be synchronized and be brought together to perform for the betterment of humanity. Not just your religion, not just your field of enterprise, not just the aspects of what you believe is yours. It's my belief that change is possible. Whatever your assignment is that God has given to you, it's possible to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I came to this city with 300 naira. Suffering does not kill. Resistance will outdo resistance. How? Scratch and keep scratching. Put your hands on the plow and stay there. Long before you were born, God knew exactly what you are capable of doing. You are not looking for your capacity. It's been in you. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before you were formed your mother's belly, he knew you, he ordained you a prophet. So he knows your capacity before he assigned what it is. And I believe that what is in you is bigger than what is on your outside. Jesus says, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. It's my belief that everybody who has been in this room, don't take the knowledge and be happy to go on social media. You must leave here with a resolution. What am I going to use? What am I going to do with what I heard today? Else, the entire investments on this meeting will be a waste. But I do believe that you have been challenged enough tonight, this evening, to come up strong and let's have a better society. God bless you.